I'm filming a book haul. It isn't very small. I need some self-control for my next big book haul. Smile, bitch. Hi everyone, welcome back to How to Train Your Summer. Gavin, apologies if I'm sweating my boobies off in this book haul video, but goddamn, you know I'm British, and you know I'm going to complain about the weather. I'm just a boy, standing in front of a booktube audience, asking you to love me for who I am. And while you're doing that, I'm going to be doing my summer book haul, and I believe there are 79 books in this video. This book haul covers April, May and June, so it's been a very busy 3 months. I do want to say that actually quite a lot of these are from book boxes, and it got to a point where I realised, damn, I think I'm subscribed to too many book boxes. I'm going to be doing this video in sections. I'm going to be doing my graphic novels and manga first, and then I'll be going to the middle grade, then I will do young adult and adult, and then I will do my special editions at the end. I'll have timestamps linked down the description box, as well as all of the book titles. In case you fancy any of these books, do have a little look in the description box, and I will have it all listed there. And if I don't, leave the nastiest comment you can think of. So graphic novels and manga. The first thing I got was actually a present for my birthday from Erica, and they got me I Hate Fairyland Volume 1, and this is a recommendation from Ali from Hardback Order. She raves about this series, she absolutely loves it, so I really wanted to read it too. It just sounded so good. I believe this follows a grown-up woman who is transported into the body of a young girl, and she was transported to Fairyland about 30 years ago, and she's been desperate to get back to her own world. And as you can tell from the title, she hates Fairyland. It's probably going to be so funny, but also like extremely dark. That looks like blood. That was the only graphic novel. The rest in this section are manga, and there's one manhwa as well. But the next one is Mermaid Skills and the Town of Sand by Yoko Komori, and this one was gifted to me for my birthday from Steph Loves. Steph, thank you so much. This one follows a young girl who moves to a very sleepy seaside town, and she meets a boy there, and slowly memories start to reawaken in her of drowning and being saved by a merman. And this most likely explores the idea of mermaids and mermen. Ever since the live action of The Little Mermaid, I've been so excited to read more mermaid stories, and here we have one. I also picked up volumes 2, 3 and 4 of Kingdom Hearts 2. Because I've been slowly collecting the Kingdom Hearts books, I have probably mentioned a Kingdom Hearts book in the past few book hauls, but Kingdom Hearts is my favourite video game series of all time, and I read the first couple of Kingdom Hearts volumes last year, and I just really want to read more, and Kingdom Hearts 2 is my favourite video game. So to have it in manga form, and it's huge as well. Here's volume 1, which I hauled a few months back. This is all of Kingdom Hearts 2. Wow. One of the most recent manga purchases is Blood on the Tracks Volume 13 by Shuzo Oshimi, and this was the last volume I needed in order to read the entire prologue of Blood on the Tracks. I want to do a video reading the entire prologue, which is the entire first 13 volumes. Blood on the Tracks I've mentioned 1,000 times before. It is following the relationship between a mother and a son, and it's a very strange and twisted relationship, and that's all I'm saying, because wow, that is probably just only scratching the surface of the first volume, which is the volume I've read, and it must go way beyond that if the first 13 volumes is only the prologue. Like, what? What? How can I get crazier after that first volume? I picked up the third volume of The Titan's Bride. This one is very explicit. It is male-male romance. I believe it follows a man who stumbles into the world of the Titans, and one of the Titans then claims that man for his bride. And honestly, I don't know what to expect. Genuinely don't. It just sounds intense. I think it's going to be my next Dick Fight Island. I'm currently in the middle of doing a 30 manga in 30 days reading challenge, where I'm using a spin the wheel to randomly pick the owned TBR manga that I own, including some of the ones that I've got in this video. And one of those books is Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. I picked this one up because my friend Jade absolutely loves it, and I believe it just follows a ghost that gets summoned out of a school toilet. That's all I pretty much know. Oh, and he can grant any wish too. So think Aladdin, but if it was set in high school and the Cave of Wonders is actually the bathroom and the genie's lamp is the toilet. I picked up the first volume of FairyTail, which has been recommended to me so much, but there's never a volume 1 available whenever I go to like Forbidden Planet or Traveling Man. But lo and behold, I went one day and there they had volume 1. I believe this one follows Lucy, who is a wizard, and she wants to join a wizard club called FairyTail. I heard there are pirates, and because I'm just obsessed with One Piece at the minute, I want more pirate stories, so this is perfect for that, and hopefully we'll scratch that itch. I'm not expecting One Piece level of greatness, but I'm still really open to exploring the world of FairyTail. Oh my gosh, right, one of these I picked up today because I read volume 1 last week, I think it was, and I loved it. So I picked up Food Wars Volume 1 a good few weeks ago for this 30 manga in 30 days challenge. And then I also picked up volume 2 today because I thought volume 1 was so good. It was rather a comforting read. This follows a young boy who works in his father's restaurant, but in order to become a better chef, he has to go to this really elite boarding school. And when I tell you, I didn't think I would love this, I did. I thought it was so good, so I had to pick up volume 2. There are some strange things that happen when people eat something. Like, for example, they might eat something and you know when you feel like your clothes are just being ripped off you? That happens in this. But let me tell you, if you've never had food where it makes you feel like your clothes have been ripped off, you haven't lived. I have a couple of books that I'm going to read next month for another yaoi vlog, and one of them is Golden Sparkle. I believe this one is about 2 male friends, and one of them has a problem with wet dreams, and the other one decides to help them with that. I don't know beyond that. I really don't know. It was recommended to me, and I saw it in Forbidden Planet. I was like, you know what? I want weird and wonderful yaoi for this vlog. And this seems to fit the bill. Golden Sparkle. Nice. And the next one is The Dragon's Betrothed. I think this one might be, like, male dragon porn. Oh, there's a water dragon god. Oh, and he's betrothed to him. Can be disarmingly friendly and charming, but inside lurks an animalistic ferocity. Oh my god. I had no idea how this came out, but Killing Stalking Volume 3. I've read the first 2 volumes, and this is a manhwa, by the way, but it's so messed up, it's so dark and so grim, and I've never read anything this effed up before. This one, it took me by surprise. It follows somebody who stalks someone, and then the person he stalks turns out to be a killer and kidnaps him. And that's like the first volume. That's not a spoiler because that's the premise of the first volume. And this is volume 3. And I believe there's going to be 4 volumes. Also, it's called Killing Stalking. So you have 1 killer, you have 1 stalker. It's just such a weird, bizarre, crazy story. And it's just so, I wouldn't say addictive, but I'm like dying to read the next part. I'm going to end up reading this just on my own volition at some point. I've already read this next one. I read it recently for my 30 manga in 30 days challenge. I'm using a spin the wheel so I don't know what my next manga is going to be, and I've read 6 or 7 manga for it so far. But it's really fun. I can't wait for that video to come out next month. But I did pick up Vinland Saga for it last month, I think it was, and I read the first part of it. You can see where my bookmark is, but this is Vikings. There is a war at the start of this, and we also follow a character who is after vengeance for his father's death. So that's pretty much all I will be able to tell you without spoiling anything, but I really enjoyed what I read so far. I was so tempted to pick up book 2 today, but I restrained myself. I was like, no bitch, that's a bit too expensive. But I am looking forward to reading volume 2 within book 1 and continuing the story because it's just so good. And I believe the second season of the anime has just come out, so when I catch up to the manga, I would love to watch the anime. And then the final 3 manga that I picked up are for a video coming up later this year too, where I try and read all of Junji Ito's books. And I own quite a few of them now, and these 3 I've added to my collection the past 3 months. And I have Dissolving Classroom, Lovesickness, which I think is brand new. I've never seen this before, and then when I went into Forbidden Planet, it was there in the 3 for 2 offer, and I was like, oh my god, I've never seen that before. So I picked up that, and I also picked up Remina. Genuinely can't tell you much about what these are because each Junji Ito story is very different to the other. There's loads of horror type short stories within his manga, and they just sound so good. I feel like Dissolving Classroom might be its own story though. Yeah, no, this is filled with short stories as well. So yeah, just a lot of short stories, and I just can't wait to read all of his stuff. Hopefully in one video, but that might also be impossible. Okay, next I have the middle grade. I got sent this gorgeous proof copy of Kòkú, Àkànbí, and the Heart of Midnight. This one is by Maria Motonrio Adebisi, and I cannot wait to read it because it gives me such Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun vibes, and I love the fact that we have illustrations of the characters there too. Can anyone say bloody stunning? This one has a similar sort of premise to Arusha by Roshni Chokshi, where our main character Kòkú has unleashed a demon from a museum and has to kind of correct the wrongs of his wrongdoing. He finds himself in a land of endless sun and powerful tribes, and there we have him trying to stop this evil force. This is an epic new fantasy series inspired by West African mythology, and it's a debut author too, so that's just like even better. And French flaps too! French flaps, you know me, I love a French flap. Another proof copy sent to me from the publisher is Finding Bear by Hannah Gold. Hannah Gold wrote The Last Bear and the Lost Whale, and I really enjoy those stories. They imbue such important messages about the environment and what we do to our planet within these really entertaining stories that usually have a child protagonist bonding with an animal, and Finding Bear, I think, is a sequel to The Last Bear. Absolutely nothing revealed about what is in the sequel, but I remember in the first one, we have a young girl who goes to Bear Island, but all of the bears are extinct except for one, and she ends up bonding with this bear. It was a really great read. I actually even have an interview with the author that I did in person last year, so I'll link that in the description box if you fancy checking it out. This also has this beautiful little flap too. I think I mentioned this in my summer TBR video, but I also picked up Jamie by L.D. Lipinski. This was actually the first book that came after I just filmed my previous book haul back in early April, I think it was. It had just come, I think, the day after I filmed it. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be like the first one in the new book haul. But this one does follow non-binary children and trans children and like celebrating trans and queer joy. We need more stories like this. We need more acceptance for queer children too. There's just so much shit going on in the world right now, especially for the LGBTQ plus community, and I fear for the current and future LGBTQ plus children. So we do need more stories like this, and I can't wait to support the hell out of it. A huge thank you to Walker Books for sending me Clutch by MG Leonard. This one is the third book in the Twitch series. It follows a young boy who loves nature, he loves bird watching, and he ends up solving mysteries and he sees crimes happen, and it's kind of similar to the Adventures on Trains series, but that series is set on a train. This one is, you know, set in nature. So absolutely wonderful, and thank you again so much, Walker Books, for sending me this copy. A huge thank you to Puffin for sending me The Last Shadow Dragon by Lane Newbury. This one is the sequel to The Last Firefox, which is about a young boy with two dads, and he ends up coming across this firefox, and he has to protect it from this awful hunter because this firefox is, as you guessed, the last one in the world. And I can't wait to find out what this one must be about. There must be a shadow dragon that we have to protect. My pre-order for the Waterstones exclusive edition of Skandar and the Phantom Rider by A.F. Stedman came. Really beautiful blue sprayed edges to match the red sprayed edges of the first one, which was Skandar and the Unicorn Thief. This one is like the next big middle grade series alongside, say, like Nevermore, Percy Jackson, and we have a boy who is really desperate to train as a unicorn rider. We go on so many adventures, so many things happen, and yeah, the sequel recently came out. I pre-ordered it so long ago, as soon as it was announced, I think. Another sequel I picked up was Woodwitch by Skye McKenna. Hedgewitch is my current Patreon book club pick for the month of June, and Woodwitch is the sequel to that, so I might end up reading it right after Hedgewitch. Hedgewitch is about a young girl who goes to, I think, the village of Hedgley, and she trains under a witch. Don't know a whole lot more than that, I just know that it gives like really strong Kiki's Delivery Service vibes, and I'll be reading it next week with my patrons, so I'm really excited for that, and I'm excited for the sequel. Nothing under the dust jacket, but I love the shape of this. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a very solid, you know what I mean? It's like not round, it's solid straight. You totally get what I mean, right? The next one was sent to me by my beautiful patron, Jenny, and thank you so much for sending me this. I wanted to get Jacqueline Wilson's The Other Edie Trimmer after I was doing some reading sprints with Pris from Pris Peruses. Pris got like a little bit into this book and she was already loving it. So I was like, you know what, Pris? You've convinced me. I really want to get this book too. And I loved Jacqueline Wilson as a kid. She was one of my favorite authors. I hadn't picked up a Jacqueline Wilson book in probably like 20 years maybe. This one follows Edie, and she is given this Victorian journal because she loves the Victorian times and she loves the stage show Oliver and she wants to be part of Oliver. But as soon as she starts writing in this Victorian journal, she finds herself in Victorian London. So she is kind of living her dream, but I believe she'll probably get a really big wake-up call on just what it meant to be a Victorian child in Victorian London. So Pris definitely convinced me to get this one, and thank you so much, Jenny, for sending me it. Oh my gosh, I have to thank Katie Carlson for the next haul and her mother for being the best people ever. Katie sent me the first box set of the Goosebumps SlappyWorld series, which is the next Goosebumps series I need to read, and the final main Goosebumps series I need to read. I can't believe I've been doing this for nearly 2 years, and this is the final one. I'm so excited. Well, R.L. Stine is writing another one, but I'm not planning on doing a big vlog for that because those books are coming out like 3 times a year or something like that, so I'm not going to be doing a vlog for it, but this will be the last full, complete Goosebumps series vlog I do. Whew! Unless I do his spin-off ones, which no. But SlappyWorld I will be reading in September, October for a big final Goosebumps reading vlog. It does have things like Slappy Birthday to You, Attack of the Jack, I Am Slappy's Evil Twin, Please Do Not Feed the Weirdo, Escape from Shudder Mansion, and The Ghost of Slappy. And as much as I always end up not liking the Goosebumps books I end up reading, I mean, sometimes there are like some hidden gems in there and some I do enjoy. And even though the majority are not that great, I'm always excited to read Goosebumps. So really excited to do this vlog, and thank you so much, Katie, and to your mum as well. I love you guys so much. Okay, onward to the YA and adult books now. I can finally stop banging on about this series. Well, until I make the actual video. But in every book haul for probably the last year, I've been mentioning me getting one of these books. And I finally have the final 5 books I needed for this video I want to do. And that is the Are You Afraid of the Dark books. There were 5 more I needed. They were quite expensive, extremely rare and hard to get hold of, so I had to jump at the chance to get them. These are out of print and so hard to get hold of. But I do have 5 more Are You Afraid of the Dark books, the final 5. I can stop looking for them. Oh, honestly, when I finally saw that last one on eBay, I was like, I almost cried. Almost. And then I definitely cried when I tallied how much I've spent on the Are You Afraid of the Dark books. I cried so many tears. But it's gonna be worth it because I'm so excited. I used to love Are You Afraid of the Dark as a kid, and reading the books, I can't wait to make the vlog. I'm so excited for it. But yeah, it's like an anthology series of children in the Midnight Society telling scary stories to one another around a campfire at midnight. It's just such a great series, and I hope the books are great. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Otherwise, I've wasted a lot of fucking money. But I have The Tale of the Secret Mirror, The Tale of the Souvenir Shop, The Tale of the Ghost Cruise, The Tale of the Stalking Shadow, and The Tale of the Terrible Toys. This one was the hardest to get hold of. Oh my god. I didn't even think it existed at one point. But really excited to have them. And now I can finally stop talking about them in every single book haul. Okay, the next one's interesting because I didn't know that there were books based on the series. But that is a Final Destination book. And this one's called Dead Reckoning. This one was rather cheap on eBay. I won it in an auction. But usually they go for quite a lot of money. And I think there might be 6 or 7 in the series. And they are like an extension of the Final Destination films. I think there are also some novelizations of the films that they also expanded upon, but there were genuine books made in the universe that were commissioned by New Line Cinema. So I was like, should I do a reading vlog reading them all? But then these are so hard to get hold of and very expensive, so I don't think I will. But I definitely want to get this one because it was as cheap as I saw it, and I just jumped at the opportunity. And I do really want to read them because I love the Final Destination franchise. I think it's so fun to watch, some of my favorite horror films, and I think the books might be just as entertaining. Hopefully. It's quite big. It's quite a big book. Yeah, 400 pages, wow. But you can really say like how yellow and worn down this book is, which I love. Maybe potentially if I see more books in the series, I might try and read them all. But for now, I have the first one, and I'm excited to read it. Let me know down below if you knew that there were actual Final Destination books, because I had no clue. I picked up the second Waterstones exclusive Heartstopper volume. I have the first volume in the Waterstones exclusive edition, and I pre-ordered them all at the same time, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this was a lovely surprise to open one day, because I totally forgot about it, and I'm so excited for season 2 of the Netflix show too. I haven't watched the clip of the first scene from the second season, because I want to do a reaction to the entire second season, like I did with the first season, so I'm avoiding that scene. But I'm so excited. It's not long now. It's like 2 months, less than 2 months away, a month and a half. I just love Nick and Charlie, and I love the whole story. I love Alice Oseman. I love everything that they do. And of course, I was going to get the exclusive Waterstones edition of Heartstopper in hardback. I needed them in hardback because I missed out on the FairyTail editions. So I will buy anything Heartstopper related. You just watch me. Now, I did get sucked up in the hype with Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This is just a standard edition. The FairyTail exclusive early access edition came up today in the emails, and I just knew I would have no chance, so I didn't even bother. And I'm absolutely fine with having just a standard edition. Don't even know if I'm going to like it yet, but I've heard so many great things about it. And I'm sure there are people who really don't like this book either, but the love for this has been very loud. This one follows a girl called Violet, and I believe she is training to be a dragon rider, or she is being made to be a dragon rider. I don't know if it's her choice or not. There is a big war in the kingdom too. Sounds like a lot of fantasy books that I've read before, so nothing's really like stood out too much, and I genuinely wouldn't have picked it up if it wasn't for the hype. You know BookTube, okay? Don't act like you don't get swept up in the hype too. Maybe not for Fourth Wing, but for other things. We all do it. We're human. So I am interested to see if I enjoy this like most people on BookTube, or if they're all lying through their teeth. I was so fortunate to be sent the advanced reader's copy of the 20th anniversary edition of The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. So thank you, Bloomsbury, for sending me this. I appreciate it so much. I love The Bone Season. I thought it was so good when I read it. when did I read it? It was 2019, I think. In Samantha Shannon has gone back to the manuscript. She has done some improvements to a lot of it too. So it's almost like it's going to be reading it for the first time. I also have the 20th anniversary edition pre-ordered at Forbidden Planet. So I'm really excited for that to come. But I would absolutely love to read this. Well, one, because I was really fortunate to even get this in the first place. But two, I've also forgotten quite a lot about the story. So it'll be great to go back to it and read it pretty much for the first time, since this is changed. And I don't know how dramatically it's changed, but it has changed. And I've never heard of a book that's been changed after it's been published to this scale. So we might be seeing history happen right now. But I could be wrong. There could actually be other times when that's happened. Let me know if there actually has been. Next, I got Cursed Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Webber. This one is the Waterstones exclusive. I think this one is the Wren edition. I didn't get a chance to get the Rose edition. I'm heartbroken. I have the 2 editions for the first book, Twin Crowns, but I only managed to get 1 exclusive edition of the sequel. Sad times. Sad times. This is what happens when I don't work in a bookstore anymore. But Twin Crowns is a great YA fantasy. It gave me such Throne of Glass vibes, but I thought it was better than Throne of Glass, not gonna lie. About 2 sisters, one born to royalty and one born with witches, and there's also romance and adventure, and it's just so good. So I'm really excited to read the second one. Huge thank you to Tracy for sending me Fake Dates and Mooncakes by Shirley. This one's something that's gonna be perfect to read during the summer. Like, it has those vibes. I believe this is male-male romance. One of them runs his aunt's struggling Chinese takeaway in Brooklyn. The other one needs a fake date to a wedding. Like, it sounds so good. And Tracy, you are an absolute beaut for sending me this. A huge thank you to Harry for sending me Nun Massacre by Regina Watts. I read this one recently for my 30 East Drive video. It was my most recent haunted location vlog. It was so much fun, and this was so much fun. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It could definitely do with a better ending. Could have done with some more editing in my opinion, but the general premise of a killer nun chasing after teens in an abandoned school, what's not to love? So I had a lot of fun with this. There's a lot of death, a lot of slasher vibes to it too. So if you like yourself a slasher, this could be perfect for you. Don't expect greatness, but expect a fun time. A huge thank you to Hannah from Ladette M for sending me a couple of books. First one being The Vampire by John Polidori, and The Tales of the Macabre. Now this is a classic. This might be the first vampire story. I'm not 100% sure, but I love myself a gothic classic, and if this is the genesis of the vampire story, then come on. I loved Dracula last year, so I think I would genuinely enjoy this too. And it was actually a product of the same ghost story competition that Mary Shelley did with Frankenstein. So this goes hand in hand with Frankenstein in terms of like same time period that it was written. The story introduced the vampire into English fiction, launching a vampire craze that has never diminished. So there we go. And she also sent me Rizzio by Denise Mina. Now I used to be a big fan of Rain, that was on the CW. And if you know the story of Mary Queen of Scots, you know what happens to this person. But yeah, I believe Hannah actually recommended this one to me, and I'm so glad I have it now because it looks so good. It's tiny too. It's so tiny. So obviously I don't want to spoil it for everyone, but this is history. It is historical fiction, but it's like a moment in time that is quite shocking and yeah, like a really huge moment. So excited to read it in fiction form and to see what the author actually did to the story. My love Steph, who sent me the manga a lot earlier in this video, also sent me The House Witch by Delamarque. I just fell in love with this cover. I really did. It just looks so gorgeous. This one follows Finn, who is a royal cook for the king and queen, but they also don't know that he is a house witch. He has a familiar called Kraken, and I think they have to try and keep their identity a secret from pretty much everyone. It says it's filled with fascinating characters, courtly intrigue, political machinations, delicious cuisines, cuddly companions, magical hijinks, and won't they romance. Oh, it just sounds so cozy and sweet and wholesome. I mean, it might be the opposite, I don't know, but it just sounds so nice. A huge thank you to Jenny for sending me the Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. This one has been recommended a lot and I've seen it on a lot of booktube channels. And I also loved The Raven and the Reindeer by T. Kingfisher, and that was the first and I think the only T. Kingfisher book I've read so far. So to read more of that, perfect. The Hollow Places sounds like a really good one to dive into. This one follows Cora, who finds a mysterious bunker behind her uncle's house. And in this bunker, I believe there are portals to loads of different realities or something like that. Even the plot alone piques my interest, but just knowing that a lot of people do actually love this story just makes me want to read it even more. So thank you again, Jenny, for sending me it. Tracy also sent me Horror Hotel by Victoria Fulton and Faith McLaren. I think this is full of short stories. No, it's not. I'm a liar. This one hits a little close to home, okay? This one follows some YouTubers who go to a haunted hotel hoping to film after dark, even though they're not allowed to be there, and I think horror ensues. So I'm wondering if maybe I shouldn't read this one, because it might put me off making horror haunted vlogs in the future. But at the same time, I do want to try and see if there are any haunted hotels in the UK that I can travel to and read Horror Hotel. Like, that just sounds so good. So thank you, Tracy. Erica's also spoiled me by sending me Halloween Fiend by CV Hunt. This one is set in a really scary town called Strang, and every single night there is this sort of being or entity called Halloween that comes to everybody's house, and they have to give them a live sacrifice, a live offering every single night. So I'm like, what in the world do they have that's living that they can keep sacrificing every single night? And I just absolutely adore this cover too. It looks so cool. I might have seen this one on Kash's Book Cemetery channel. I might have done that, but I will also link down below if I do end up finding where I got this recommendation from, so that you guys can also check them out too. The last three YA and adult books before I go into the special edition books, which are, I think, all filled with YA and adult books. I have Red Rising by P.S. Brown, The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch, and Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Nouvelle. I'm reading these because I'm long overdue doing my 5th episode of I Had to Like My Friend's Favourite Books, or I unsubscribed from their channel series. So I'm going to be reading Red Rising for Becca from Becca and the Books, The Lies of Loch Lamora for Murphy from Murphy Napier, and Sleeping Giants for G from Book Roast. I'm also doing another creator and another book in the video too, but I have that on audio, so there will be 4 people. The other person is going to be Amber Elise, and I'm going to be reading Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson for it. So I'm very excited for that video. It should be coming next month, and yeah, these look good too. Now finally onto my special edition books. Firstly, a huge thank you to Claire from Claire's Creative Corner for sending me this gorgeous Beauty and the Beast edition. I did read the Beauty and the Beast story from this in my recent video where I read the fairy tales that inspired the Disney Renaissance films, so I have already picked this up and shown you guys it. But yeah, it's just filled with loads of different fairy tales, and it is a beautiful Bonds and Noble edition. So thank you, Claire, I appreciate it so much. I've got 2 Waterstones pre-orders that came through. I might have another one. I haven't really sorted out this pile, to be honest. But one of the Waterstones pre-orders is The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. This is a sequel to Her Majesty's Royal Coven. This one is signed by the author and has pink sprayed edges. And it was such a pleasant surprise to come when I continuously forget that I have pre-orders. The second pre-order was The Battle Drum by Sarah El Arifi, and this one is also signed. Let me show you. Oh my god, the end pages of this one too. That was beautiful. Gorgeous, gorgeous girl. And signed. And I read the first book, The Final Strife, 2 months ago, I think, for Patreon, and I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. Really good story. I'd already pre-ordered this before I read the first one because I knew I wanted to continue, and 3.5 is a good rating for a first book. No idea what the sequel is about, but it will be a continuation of the first one, so I should be reading it pretty soon so I don't forget what actually happened in the first book. Because I've been getting the Fairy Loot editions of the Brandon Sanderson books, I have gotten myself Words of Radiance Parts 1 and 2 by Brandon Sanderson. I have The Way of Kings Parts 1 and 2 over there, and when these came up for the access, had to snatch them up. I really do love these editions with the gilded edges, and I do really want to read more Brandon Sanderson. I have the second secret project coming from Brandon Sanderson because I backed the Kickstarter, but that hasn't come yet, and I see so many people already have theirs, and I'm just like, please, I want it. I want it because I'm reading Tress of the Emerald Sea soon, and that was the first secret project, so getting the second secret project should be any day now, so that should be my next book haul. But Words of Radiance is book 2 of the Stormlight Archive, and hopefully I get to see more Fairy Loot editions of Brandon Sanderson books in the future. Next is Seven Faces Saints by M.K. Lobb. I freaking adore the sprayed edge. I love the cover too. It looks very scarily religious in a way. Like it might deal with religion, church, saints, monks, and I'm a bit scared of monks after my previous encounter with one in 30 East Drive. But there is a brutal killer that stalks the streets of the city where these Seven Faceless Saints live. That's all I know. It's tiny actually. It's like one of the smallest Fairy Loot books I've ever received, but goddamn am I intrigued to read it. An Illumicrate exclusive for Lies We Sing to the Sea by Sarah Underwood also came. Yeah, this is going to be the second one I just show off the sprayed edges. I'm going to butcher the names, but I believe this follows Leto, who can break the curse that is on her by killing someone. Who is it she's going to kill? The Prince of Ithaca. You know, I haven't read a single Olivia Blake book, but I think I have 4 of them now. And the 4th one I picked up was the Waterstones exclusive edition of One for My Enemy. And I did fall in love with this edition with the sprayed edge. Waterstones have really stepped up their game with exclusive editions. Their sprayed edges are becoming some of my favourite sprayed edges of anything. And I have more coming up actually. There's one that I definitely prefer. I have 2 editions of it. One that came with Fairy Loot and another one that's Waterstones edition. And I do prefer the Waterstones edition. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I have no idea what this book is actually about, but I do know that it has a Baba Yaga, and I have been really enjoying stories with Baba Yaga the past, gosh, like 5 or 6 years now. So to have another Baba Yaga story in the mix, and one that I didn't expect to come from with Olivia Blake. When I look at this book, I just didn't think Baba Yaga, but apparently it does. It just entices me all the more. In fact, it's probably the Olivia Blake book that I'm the most excited to read. I have The Art of Prophecy by Wesley Chu. I think this is Waterstones. Maybe, I think it is, but yeah, this is the Waterstone sprayed edge, or stenciled edge, whatever you want to call it, with the black sprayed edge on the top and the bottom. I know Jade read this and she really enjoys it. There is a prophecy that says that Wen is the savior of the kingdom or something like that, but it turns out that the prophecy is wrong. So I think this probably explores a fantasy world where the chosen one is actually not really supposed to be the chosen one. Such an interesting premise, and I don't know if I even got it right anyway. Jade, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm always keen to read my friends' favorite books, so really happy to have this. I have so many of this author's books, it's unreal, and I haven't read a single one. Oh my god, this is my second one. I thought I had more. Yeah, I got so many of them, all 2 of them. The House of Whispers by Anna Mazzallo, and yeah, it has like a piano sprayed edge. This one follows Eva in Rome in 1938, and she has to marry someone and she ends up living in their house. But I believe the house is starting to reveal secrets and talk to her and stuff like that, that Eva then ends up having to keep some secrets of her own. I just adore the covers of Anna's books and the sprayed edges. Stencil edges. This is a section of the video that will show me that I need to be more careful with my money. Speaking of spending my money better, but as soon as FairyLoot put these out and they were available, I had to get them. I really enjoyed the series when I first read it. And that is, if I can pick it up, The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I read these when I joined BookTube or just before it. And I really, really enjoyed these books. I thought they were so, so good. So I love that FairyTail came out with editions of them. We have Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and this behemoth, Winter. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how big it is. But yes, fairy tales, sci-fi, Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood, Rapunzel, Snow White. It's a great series. I really enjoyed it. Don't know if it still holds up, but hey, at least I have some nice fancy books to find out. I'm on the last stack now. I think this is the most recent Illumicrate book I was sent, but it is Witch King by Martha Wells. This one follows Kai, who was murdered, assassinated at the very start, and his conscience is like trapped somewhere, and then he is reawakened when someone is trying to steal his power. I had never heard of this before Illumicrate sent it in one of their boxes, but one of my buzzwords is witch. If anything has the word witch in the title, or it's about witches, I'm in. One of the FairyLoot books was The Curse of Saints by Kate Dramis. Another one I had never heard of before, which is a recurring theme for a lot of the FairyLoot and Illumicrate books that come out. I had never heard of them beforehand. Well, the majority of them. I would say like 80% of them. This one follows Aya and Will, and they are both working for the Queen, and there is a village nearby, I believe, that is rumoured to have dark magic, or is being attacked by dark magic, and these two people who work for the Queen get sent to scope it out and see what the deal is. Another FairyLoot book, and I don't remember what month it was for, but it is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. It says, when two rival journalists find love through a magical connection, their fate depends on their face in the depths of hell together. So this sounds like it might be enemies to lovers, but with like a hint of magic, which, sounds hot to me. And Sprayed Edge. Two absolutely stunning books that I managed to get to as soon as they were available through FairyLoot. The House of Earth and Blood series by Sarah J. Maas. We have the FairyLoot exclusives. We have House of Earth and Blood in this beautiful slip box, and House of Sky and Breath in this beautiful slip box. I haven't yet read House of Sky and Breath. I loved House of Earth and Blood when I first read it, but I'm scared to read House of Sky and Breath. I will read it eventually, but I'm just scared to read it. I haven't heard the greatest of things, even from Sarah J. Maas stans, who literally will lick her arsehole for anything. So I'm just a little bit concerned because I don't put Sarah J. Maas on that kind of pedestal. So I will 100% get into reading it, but I do think these editions are like the most gorgeous editions of these books ever. In fact, these could be some of the most beautiful books that I own. I should really do a video on this. I finally got to the top of the waitlist for The Broken Binding. I believe I joined like 2 years ago, hoping for some kind of subscription. So I finally have that. And with The Broken Binding, I have the first two books in the Tide Child trilogy, The Bone Ships and Call of the Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. These are my first broken binding books, and they are really, really beautiful. Hopefully I can get to these relatively soon because I am starting to read more fantasy again, and I love sprayed edges or stencil edges that tell a story. And another broken binding book that came is Ascension by Nicholas Binge. There is a mountain that appears in the middle of the Atlantic, is it? No, the Pacific Ocean, and these group of scientists go to the summit of this mountain to find out what the heck, because this ain't normal. A mountain growing out of the ocean? Out of nowhere? That ain't right. So what's there? What's hiding in this mountain? Why is it there? Is this aliens? Is this sea creatures, sea monsters? Like, what's going on? So this was a pleasant surprise to get from Broken Mind because, again, I'd never heard of it before. And now I'm really eager to read it. Like, so eager. When I mentioned before about a Fairyloot book and a Waterstones exclusive edition and how I prefer the Waterstones edition, I'm talking about In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. This one is the Waterstones edition. I love the green and I am obsessed with the sprayed edge. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I do like the Fairyloot edition. I love the colour scheme and all of that. I think the sprayed edge is again gorgeous. I think the green, I like the Waterstones edition a bit more, you know? I do know that this is set in a place where there are like houses on top of treetops and there's machinery that talks and there's like robots and things, androids and like found family, stuff like that. And I believe I'm reading this summer. So I should be getting to it soon because I really do enjoy TJ Klune's writing. Okay, I have 2 books left. One of them's a Fairyloot and one of them's an Illumicrate. Fairyloot wise, I have Silver in the Bone by Alexandra Bracken. I think this might be the most recent Fairyloot or one of the most recent. Was Alexandra Bracken the person who wrote some kind of piratey book that I did not really like? I think it was back in 2019 I read it and I didn't really like it. Is it the same person? Because I know Alexandra Bracken also wrote Law. It might not be Alexandra Bracken, I might be thinking of someone else. In this we follow Tamsin and she is a hollower. She breaks into these ancient crypts looking for treasure. Sounds very Tomb Raider-esque, which I love. And it also deals with Arthurian legend. And I do love me some King Arthur, I do. And finally the last book and the book from Illumicrate is Some Desperate Glory by Emily Tesh. Again, never heard of it. Take a shot every time I haven't heard of a book. In this book, Earth has already been destroyed and we have somebody called Kaya, I believe, and she's trying to get vengeance for the destruction of planet Earth. I think it's like set in the wreckage of Earth in space, and I don't know why, but I get some Guardians of the Galaxy vibes from it. I don't think that's like the case or anything, but this is science fiction. I do love me some science fiction every now and then when it isn't set me off in an existential crisis. But this one sounds like it's going to be more adventure than, you know, giving me a complex. So this could be a win for Illumicrate. Wow, there we go. There we have it. That is 79 books that I hold from the past 3 months. As I've said, a lot of these were subscription boxes, more so than I realised. So hopefully that calms down over the next couple of months. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave all your comments down below. Let me know if you've hauled any really good books recently. Is there anything that I hauled in this video that you would wholly recommend? Let me know everything down below. I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons and my One Piece channel members for supporting my channel. If you'd like to join my Patreon or my One Piece channel membership, then all the links are down in the description box. But yeah, I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye.